You get thrown out on that lake in a wind like this. It is a really, really tricky day, but she did an absolutely lovely job. So this is Holly, and Holly is our female North American bald eagle. So the bald eagle is truly an iconic bird. The reason for that is they're the national emblem of America. Benjamin Franklin actually chose this bird to represent America. He had the choice pretty much between the wild turkey and the American bald eagle. You can probably see why he chose the bald eagle massively over the turkey. Considering they eat turkeys as well, I don't know why they were going to choose the turkey. He actually wasn't going to pick the bald eagle because they're known for being quite a loud and a very selfish bird, and also a bit of a bully. And apparently that wasn't going to represent America in the right way. So he wasn't actually going to pick it, but then he decided to pick it in the end, so he must have thought it was quite fitting. So he chose the bald eagle. So if you look at all American insignia, it has the bald eagle representing it. So this bird is a fish-eating bird, so what they will do, a big lake like that is actually quite a natural habitat to find the bald eagle. They live around water, so they will hunt fish. That is the main thing they're going to be going for. So that is actually why they have this incredible name, the bald eagle, because a lot of people think bald and you refer to someone with no hair, but it actually used to mean someone with greying or someone with white hair. And but we gave them the name the bald eagle because also if you go into the court, the judge will wear a wig that's called a bald. That is a white horsehair wig, and that is why we gave the bald eagle the name the bald eagle. But that white head and that white tail is really important for the bald eagle because what it is, it's actually camouflage. So when she's hunting fish, as the fish are swimming along the top of the water, they are going to constantly be looking up for danger. So if you've got white somewhere on your body, on a day like today, when you've got loads of clouds in the sky, the fish can't see Holly coming. She just looks like a flapping pair of wings, The fish don't realise that means danger, therefore they don't swim down any deeper, so it keeps the bald eagle completely camouflaged from the fish. And then what she's done, she's got such incredibly powerful feet, she can grab onto a fish, crush down, and a lot of the time that fish is not getting away. Holly here's got around about the same pressure in her feet, well, almost actually double the pressure of what a lot of our big dogs that we have. A lot of big dogs have in their jaws. She's actually got similar pressure to some of the lions that you're going around the drive today. She has not got much less pressure than some of those female lions in her feet. So if she is to crush down onto something, it is incredibly powerful. This bird actually almost got killed out in America. Their numbers went down dramatically, and it was down to them actually being poached a lot of the time, and also down to chemicals being released into water sources, and it would get into the fish, and therefore the bald eagle would sadly lose its life. So numbers out in the US went to around about, we believe, about 150 individual eagles, and then they got the ultimate protection. So now the American bald eagle actually has more protection than the American citizen. If you get caught killing one of these, you get more prison time than if you kill a human. It's absolutely crazy. If you simply go on a little walk, you might find a bald eagle feather on the floor. If you pick up that feather, that is actually a federal offence. You can get a pretty hefty fine for picking up a bald eagle feather. But anyway, she's a lovely dog. She can have a little round of applause as Holly makes her way off. So, next up, we're going to meet quite a deadly bird now, so please prepare yourself for this one. And it's the one that tends to scare quite a lot of people. And we're going to be meeting a bird by the name of Angela. Incredibly deadly name, I know. And Angela is a barn owl. So Angela's going to be thinking, Dad, why on earth have you brought me out today? Because this is absolutely appalling weather for a barn owl. They don't like the wind, they hate the rain as well. So we'll see what Angela will do. She's going to do a little bit of flying, and if she decides it's a little bit tricky, we might just bring her a little bit closer to you all. No, you can't chase the geese, Angela. That's not a great thing to do. So Angela is a beautiful little barn owl. So the barn owl is a really incredible bird. It's our second most common bird. Look at this, Angela, come on. Really showing off today. It's our second most common owl that we have here in the UK. Tawny owl tends to be the most common. Angela is, the barn owl is the second most common. They're an owl that you tend to see a lot more though. Because this bird, I always wonder how on earth the barn owl survives. You have a little look at them. They're white in coloration, so they stand out like a sore thumb. Unlike a tawny owl who is incredibly camouflaged, barn owls aren't. So they're one that you'll tend to see a lot more, because tawny owls will tuck themselves deep into a woodland. They'll sit really still and they will wait for their prey. Angela doesn't do that. Angela will go out and do something we call quartering. So what that is, that's actually zigzagging up and down the fields. So she zigzags up and down the fields, looks out for her favourite dinner, and then she pounces. Does anybody know any ideas? Shout out answers. Anybody know what an owl's favourite dinner is?
Mice.
Mice, yeah, it is mice. Mice are her favourite dinner. So what she'll do, she'll hover above these little mice, pounce down onto them, squeeze as tight as she can, kills them pretty much instantly, and then she eats them. So I'm going to go as far as to say that this is the deadliest bird you will have met in the safari park today. She is a way better hunter than all these lions and these wolves. She is much better. She catches her prey in around about 3 attempts. You look at your lions around your drive, they're taking at least 20 attempts to catch their dinner. They've got to chase 20 buffalo, or 20 impala, or 20 warthog before they're successful. Look at Angela here, only 2 or 3 attempts, and she's normally got herself a big fat mouse for her dinner. So she should when she flies. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get Angela up on our top post here, and I'm going to ask for a little bit of audience participation now. So, it's quite hard when you're up here doing it all on your own, so I need everyone here to join in. So, there is one quite a funny stop. So instead of people putting hands up and guessing, can everyone please point on their heads and their faces where we think an owl's ears are? And we'll go around all the different ones and we'll see who's got it right. You can all join in, don't be scared. Don't worry, I won't make fun of you, I'll just join in. Alright?
I'd say,
Some people too cool for
I don't know.
You want to join in? Okay, very good. Alright, we've got some really, really good suggestions. So some people are saying on the tops of your head, that'd be a nightmare. Imagine a day like today. They just fill up with water. You won't be able to hear a thing. Behind your head, that'd just be confusing. You're flying forward and you're hearing stuff behind you. That'd be a nightmare. So no, they're not on the backs of your head. A lot of people actually said in the front of their face, and you actually bang on. To be exact, where's my barn owl gone? Angela, come back over here! Stop chasing people! So you're trying to sell barn owls in a good line, you're chasing people! Lovely flying though. So, to be exact, where her ears are, they're actually next to her eyes. Her left ear is right next to her eye here. Her right ear is slightly higher. Her left ear is more forward, and her right ear is further back. So it allows her ears actually to work independently, and it allows her to listen to all these tiny little noises of these rodents, and then she pretty much can hunt her prey with her eyes shut. You could have a blind barn out and it probably would be able to survive out in the wild. It is absolutely incredible. But I think she's done a lovely job considering she only weighs 9 ounces and how strong this wind is. She's done an absolutely incredible job. So she could have a little clap. We are going to move on now to a very agile bird. So next up, we're going to meet a bird by the name of Leo. And Leo is a Harris hawk. And he's just going to be making his way on from the side. And here he is, this is Leo. So the Harris hawk is a bird that is quite an unusual bird of prey because these birds tend to be a desert-dwelling bird of prey. So they live within your desert areas. And unlike a lot of other birds of prey, the Harris hawk is actually a pack animal. So they actually hunt in big groups together. They work together in packs and they hunt together to achieve their dinner. So out in the wild, they'll hunt things going from the size of something like a small rat, all the way up to things up to the size of Canadian geese. So they really are very, very versatile predators. Obviously, being within a pack, you've got loads and loads more power because you've got more of you. So it means that you can take on these really large animals and then you are absolutely fine. You'll notice as well that he cuts it incredibly fine, so why does he do that? Because he's lazy. A bit like saying, the amount of times you all, and me included, the amount of times I can probably walk to the shops, but I drive because I can't be bothered because I'm lazy, and that's the exact same thing as him. So he wants to make his life much easier, so by cutting it fine over your heads, he's not using as much energy, believe it or not. He's able to just weave around you without really beating his wings as hard, and it allows you to save as much energy. The thing is with birds of prey, everyone expects a bird of prey being able to want to fly all day, want to be up in the sky all the time. It's actually, you couldn't have birds of prey that want to fly. They only fly to achieve their dinner. They don't fly because it's amazing, and they really enjoy it. They just fly to be able to get their dinner and survive out in the wild. That's the only reason you will see a bird flying. They don't fly because it's really fun and they like doing it. Which is always, everyone expects a bird to want to be in the sky all day. I always think if I had wings, I'd always be up in the sky. But flying for them is nothing special. They always know how to do it. They know no difference. So no, it's not a real special thing they always want to do. Look at all these geese going over. They're just trotting about on the water. Not doing much flying.
You nearly got me in the ear.
There is really no point in doing that.
I want to see that on the playback.
Our last bird, this rain's getting a little bit heavy. We'll bring our last bird around nice and close to you all because this rain is getting a little bit heavy and Leo here is looking a bit like a drowned rat. The wetter he gets, the lower he gets, and we don't want anyone getting a mouthful of Harris hawk today. So I think Leo has done an absolutely amazing job. Give him a little clap and we'll move on to our last bird. So last up, I've got a bird now. I'm going to bring
All I did was blink, I didn't move.
I'm going to try and get him as close to you, as many of you as possible. So please do not be worried. He is an incredibly friendly bird, and his name is Nibbles.
Nibbles.
And Nibbles is an American black vulture.
Oh
So
wow!
the American black vulture. Everybody always comes here, nobody ever likes vultures.
I want one.
They always look at a vulture being a horrible, smelly, ugly animal.
Oh no!
And nobody really wants anything to do with a vulture because you don't really understand them. Sadly with vultures, if something maybe is a little bit different looking, or maybe isn't the prettiest thing, we don't support it as much. Unlike something like a lion or a tiger, they're quite sellable animals. They're really good looking and very majestic animals. Vultures aren't really the most best looking, so they don't really get any attention, even though these birds are having a really hard time out in the wild. So everyone always wonders, what is the job of a vulture? So vultures, unlike all of the birds of prey we have met today, these birds are not predatory. They are completely scavengers. So the only animals they're eating are animals that is already dead. They eat no live carrion, occasionally some vultures, occasionally fish. But most of the time vultures are only eating dead animals. So it means they play a really important job because they clean up everything. They stop the spread of disease and they just keep the environment very, very clean and free of disease. Sorry, he likes to sit on knees occasionally, so we need you prepared. So they're an amazing animal to have around the ecosystem. You really do need it. In lots of countries, we massively rely on vultures. So how a vulture is so good at its job? First of all, it's very greedy. You might notice today, wherever I've got the food, that's where Nibble goes. Nibbles will eat loads and loads of food. And also the thing they do is they've got a very strong stomach acid. So the stomach acid of a vulture is highly acidic. It's highly acidic, so it pretty much means they can break down most things without getting sick. So a vulture can eat an animal which is died of cholera, Ebola, typhoid, rabies, anthrax, E. coli, and it will not make the vulture sick. Well done, mate, you were very brave, good job. So it won't make the vulture sick. So they can eat all these different diseases without having any problems. For example, if you gave one of the lions here an animal which is died of anthrax, it would kill that lion in about 24 hours. If you feed a vulture, you gave Nibbles an animal which is died of anthrax, he would just digest it. He'd quite happily eat that breakfast, lunch and dinner. It'd have no effect on him in the slightest. You can even give him your most minging piece of chicken that you left in your fridge for too long, leave it out in the sun for an extra week, feed it to Nibbles again, he's able to eat it and withstand it within that stomach. So he really is the master at getting rid of dead animals. Vultures can eat loads of food as well. Most of our species can eat around about 25% of their body weight in one sitting. So no other animal, a lot of other animals can't eat that amount of food. And vultures really strip meat from the bone incredibly quickly. So if we go to many parts of the planet, like Africa for example, in many countries in Africa, vultures have been recorded eating 70% of dead animals. So they are eating billions of tons of rotting meat and rubbish every single year. They are so good at it. So if you lose that animal like we are doing, you have a massive problem. Out in Africa at the moment, we've lost around about 67% of our African vultures. They are dying out. Some of our species we house here at Knowsley, we've lost out in the wild by over 95%. If you look at the hooded vultures, they have died out in the wild by over 95%. And in South Africa, we believe we could have as little to 7 years left before vultures actually go extinct. So what is happening out in Africa at the moment is actually sadly poaching. Poachers are a massive issue for vultures because the problem with vultures is for the poachers. When a poacher kills an animal like an elephant or a rhino, they can make lots of money out of the ivory and the rhino horn. So these mafia gangs will go out and they'll kill all these animals. The problem with a vulture is they soar above dead animals. So if you're a gang and you killed an elephant very illegally, and you're chopping up the ivory to make all your money, and you have vultures gathering above you. They'll soar it. Some of these vultures in Africa have over a 9-foot wingspan. They are massive. So that's a massive signal. So it gets the poachers caught. So what the authorities do, they follow the vultures and they catch the poachers. So poachers will get shut down across Central and South Africa, and it's all bound to your vultures making this signal. So what started happening around about 5 years ago, we started reporting poisonings. Vultures were getting poisoned pretty much on a day-to-day basis. So what now, a lot of poaching gangs, what they actually do, once they've killed an elephant, they will chop the ivory off and then they lace it with cyanide to kill vultures. So this is pretty much obliterating through all of our vulture populations. So we're at a massive rush now to try and breed vultures and also educate people. So if I hopefully change your opinions, if you do have a negative opinion about vultures,
It's amazing.
If you do want to support any of the work we do, we have a charity called Golden Conservation Trust. We do lots of work out in South Africa. I work out in South Africa every year. I have been for the past 4 years, working with vultures out in the wild. We do scientific projects, we support rehab centres, we funded a vulture ambulance as well in the Kruger National Park, and it actually goes out to poisonings every day to try and save these birds. So if you do want to support the charity, we just say talk about us, talk about vultures, but if you want to buy one of our wristbands, they're only £1. The whole pound goes to vulture conservation to try and save these incredible birds out in the wild. But anyway, on that note, Nibs, you're looking a little bit soggy as well now. So on that note, I really hope you've all enjoyed the Flight of the Talent. Thank you so much for bearing with the weather. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed the rest of your day here at the park.
Wow. Thank you.
two of our sea lions out to meet you all. The first job for these two is to give everybody a nice wave hello. But these guys, they won't wave to you unless you guys are all waving to them first. So everybody show an arm in the air, like your hand a little bit. That's nice to you. Come on into the next wave back. So that's an excellent job. Now these two, they're both California sea lions. And as that name does suggest, you can of course find the largest population of this particular type of sea lion all along the coast of California. You can also find them as far north as Canada, where it does get pretty cold, and as far south as Mexico, where of course it's lovely and warm. So these guys, they really are quite the versatile, wide-ranging species, but that means they can cope with the good old British weather. Let me introduce you to them both. We're going to start with the little fella first. This little guy, he's called Roger. Roger, he's our middle sea lion. He's 11 years old. Very clever little sea lion, Roger. He's really excitable, as you can tell. And he's very, very friendly. He likes a little flipper shake at the start of the story, don't you? How are you? So that's Roger. Now the big noisy one over in the corner there, he's called Arthur. Arthur, he's the biggest and the eldest of the three sea lions we look after.
He's called Arthur.
He's 20 years old and he's weighing in at 23 stone. So he's the biggest and the eldest. He's also the naughtiest. He's the most likely to look out and cause trouble. Arthur is a mischief. He's very clever too, though, and don't let his size put you off. He's a big old softy. Hello, you. You're going to try and be a good boy in this display? You are, okay. We'll soon find out, folks. I can tell you that. So, the first thing that we're going to ask these two to show you is an ability that sea lions are famous for. And that's their ability to balance things on their noses. We're going to get started with Roger and this giant blue fish. Now, lots of people know that a sea lion can balance, but not everybody knows how they do it. The secret to it is the lovely whiskers you can see on Roger and Arthur's faces. A sea lion's whiskers, they're really, really sensitive. And if you guys watch Roger, you can see his whiskers, they're pointing upwards. And he will move them around from time to time. Now that's because he's feeling which way the fish is moving. Roger has to listen to the information his whiskers are giving him, because they're telling him which way to move his head to stop the fish from falling off. The whiskers, they're not strong enough to hold the fish up there. This is about skill and concentration. Now the whiskers, they have got much more important use, of course. They're not there to help Roger balance the fish on his nose. However, there is a very strong connection, because sea lions use their whiskers to find their food. Sea lions eat fish and squid for a living. And when fish and squid swim, they create vibrations in the water that the sea lions can feel with their whiskers. So if they listen to the information that they're getting, and they follow the movements and the vibrations, they can pinpoint exactly where the fish and squid are hiding. A sea lion's whiskers, they're so sensitive, they already know what type of fish, how many there are, and how big they are, without ever seeing them first. That's a little bit of, yeah, give me both hands excellent style. So, as I say, these two, they are sea lions. They are not seals. People call them seals all the time, but it isn't true, is it, Roger? Roger, what do you think when someone calls you a seal? There are ways to tell them apart. You just need to know what you're looking for. So the first thing how they swim. A sea lion only ever swims using their massive paddle-like front flippers. Shall we look at the big front flippers, you two? Let's see what they look like. We can see what it's after. That's it. Now, when a sea lion swims, they look a little bit like they're flying, because they move these paddles up and down, like a pair of wings just through the water. That will propel them at speeds of 20 miles an hour. Now, if Arthur or Roger were seals, these front flippers, they'd actually be about the size of my hands. They'd be stuck to the side of their bodies like this, making them pretty tricky to swim with. So, a seal uses the back flippers for swimming, and they move those back flippers from side to side like a fish. Now, because these guys swim using their upper bodies, they've got incredible muscles in their chests and their shoulders. And that means they're incredibly strong, and Arthur is incredibly good at the old gymnastics. Arthur, show everybody how strong you are. Let's see a front flipper stand. Now, only a sea lion can do this. Seals can't do it. Those tiny front flippers with the support of
Isn't that cool, Dela?
There is a much better way to tell a sea lion from a seal. And I've saved the best for last. The best way to tell them apart, watch how they move on land. Come on, Arthur, you can help me out with this. Now, me and Arthur, we're going to go for a little wander around on the stage so I can show you guys what I'm trying to explain. All you've got to do is just watch how Arthur moves. Alright, Arthur, anybody jump up onto the side for me? That's it, good lad. So you guys can see, as Arthur moves, he uses all four of his flippers to walk on. They all move independently of each other. And that makes the sea lion very mobile on land. Arthur's a big lad, but he's agile. He can jump over things. He can use those back flippers to stand up and climb or give me a cuddle. You're getting heavier by the day, sunshine. These guys, they can run at speeds of 10 miles an hour, and a sea lion can roar. So these guys, they really are fast, mobile creatures. A seal does move differently though, and Roger does a lovely little seal impression, don't he, bud? Show everybody, how does a seal move? They jiggle on their bellies, and then a little bit like a giant on a slug. But what we've got to do, we've got to go back to the size of a seal's front flippers. Don't worry, friends. They're this small, remember? They're stuck to the sides of their body like this, so they can't use them like feet. That means seals can't walk, they don't climb, and they definitely can't run. Hey, tell you what, they both did a cracking job there. Give them both a big round of applause. Okay, so they're the big differences, but there are a couple of things that seals and sea lions share. One of those things is really important, and I was talking about it at the start of the display. It's their food, their daily diet of fish and squid. Fish and squid, they're not easy things to catch. Sea lions use their whiskers to find the fish, but to catch it requires good eyesight, a good sense of speed and direction, and a bit of coordination too. Now, here at Knowsley, we give these guys their fish. They've got herring on the menu today. So to show you how good they are at catching, I'm going to throw 5 rings for Roger. He's got to try and catch each one over his head by judging its speed and its distance. All right, Roger, you ready? Concentrate. Here we go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. The last one, we spin. Makes it faster and a lot harder for Roger to catch. So if he does, you guys know what to do. Are you ready? arms up.
Pretty good.
So now you've got an idea of how they use that sort of speed and distance. What we've got to do is add a bit of movement to it. Because if Roger were in the wild, he wouldn't be catching fish on the beach, he'd be chasing after them. So let's send him into the water and see how many he can catch when he's got to chase them. Now the first one's going into that corner over there. Are you ready, Roger? There we go. There's one. Turn around, there's 2, 3, 4. And there's number 5. Yeah, that was superb, Roger. That was really quick, mate. Well done, you. So the other thing that seals and sea lions share is much more dangerous because it's their enemies. California sea lions have 3 different types of enemy. The first one is the killer whale, or the orca, that's its proper name. I'm not going to tell you the second. It's Arthur's turn to do an impression. Okay, Arthur, what is enemy number 2? Hold it up nice and high. Yeah, there you go. So we're talking sharks, of course. You've got the tiger shark, the bull shark, the hammerhead, and the great white. All think sea lions make a very tasty snack. Now, there's only one thing a sea lion can do in this situation, and that's swim back to the beach as fast as they possibly can. Sea lions live on land, so the big problem for them is getting back to the beach without getting caught. Now, I did say there were 3 enemies. I'm sure you've guessed the third one. It's us, human beings, and all the pollutions in our oceans. You've got oil spills, plastics, sewage, discarded fishing nets. And even here at Knowsley, we have our own problem with pollution because not all of our guests can find a bin. If it wasn't bad enough, we have people leave their rubbish in the seating area. We have guests who chuck things into the sea lion pools on purpose.
Oh my God.
The outdoor pool's the worst for it. We're forever fishing things out there. Plastic bags, plastic bottles, mobile phones, dummies, toys, shoes, a burger and chips, all genuine items we've had to retrieve from the outdoor pool. So we've started to teach the sea lions to bring different objects back to us, and for this we're going to use Roger and some plastic bottles. Now, as daft as the sea lions are, they're not stupid. Roger isn't going to try and eat a plastic bottle whole, but what he is going to do, he's going to play with it. Because sea lions are a lot like dogs, they play with things. But sea lions have very powerful jaws too. So it doesn't take long to break a plastic bottle into pieces. It's the pieces that do the damage because they swallow them by accident when they're swimming around, or we throw fish out to them. And once that plastic is in their tummies, it can't be digested. It just sits in there and it causes them all sorts of problems that will eventually kill them. So what we've done, we've taught them, bring the bottle back in one piece, pop it in the bin, they'll get a reward for it. Now, I've got a 2-pronged attack here, guys. Firstly, I think it's really sad that we've had to teach the sea lions to do this at all. But also, if I can teach Roger, this rubbish has to end up in this bin, as human beings, there's really no excuses. So folks, at the end of the display, if you've got any rubbish, pick it up. Just bring it down a few steps. There's bins by the exit doors. But far more importantly, if you're ever tempted to chuck your rubbish on the floor, out the car window, into a sea lion pool, please don't. You never know what the hidden consequences might be. And if Roger can do it, so can you. So give Roger a big round of applause. Alright, but do you know what, guys? We are quite close to the end of this afternoon's display. But before we go, we're going to finish things off with some high ball jumps. Now this is where these two take it in turns to leap out of the water and touch that pink ball with their nose. Arthur's going to go first.
How am I going to do this?
Now we do this one to show you the power in those big old front flippers. Because it's the flippers that propel across and push him out of the water to touch this ball. Now of course if Arthur hits it, you've got to give him a big round of applause. He's been ever so good. And it takes the big fella quite a bit of effort, this one. Right, Arthur, we're going to go on the count of 3. Ready? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, go. He's away. He touched the high ball. That jump there, it's too easy for Roger. We are going to make it a lot trickier for him. However, I needed to stop swaying around, so while I wait for that to slow down, I'm going to tell you about our posters. Now at the end of the display, we will be selling posters for Arthur, Roger and Lily from both sets of exit doors. The posters are only £2 each, or you can get all 3 for a £5. So if you've enjoyed the display and you do take a poster home with you, you'll be helping the sea lions out because the proceeds go back to these guys. They get the benefits.
I know he jumped out.
If you go on a poster, you understand it's not everyone's cup of tea. But perhaps you'd help us with our charity. It's the monk seal conservation charity. The monk seal is the world's most endangered marine mammal. There's less than 500 left in the wild. So if you prefer to help us I'll start that sentence again. If you prefer to help us out with that instead, by the exit doors we've got single on either side who collects for us. And any change you chuck into them goes to the charity instead. We haven't finished yet, it's Roger's turn. And for Roger, we raise it up first of all. We'll take it to around about there, Roger's not all right? Yeah. Now he's been the daredevil on Roger. He's the only sea lion here at Knowsley who starts his high ball attempt from on top of that tower. So, Roger's going to show you how sea lions climb. By climbing the stairs to the platform at the top, he's then going to dive off into the water, swim across, and try and touch that pink.
You're going to watch it now?
Now, same again, Gary, if he hits it, you've got to give him a big round of applause. He's been ever so good too. And this takes way more effort than Arthur's. Come on then, twinkle toes, that's it. Now folks, watch how easily Roger climbs these stairs. It is a brilliant example of just how mobile these guys really are. There we go, he's at the top. He's away, he touched the high ball. Alright guys, well, we are very nearly there, but please stay in your seats. The doors won't open until I've done the final bits of health and safety. I'll be as quick as I can. First of all, these two, they're going straight back outside. That's going to take me a minute or two. And when I'm back in, I'm going to go stand at the front just over there. And if you've got any questions, come and ask me. I love to talk about them. I'll do my very best to answer. Secondly, folks, remember what I said about using the stairs. Please don't climb over benches. We don't want you to have an accident and hurt yourselves. However, you're going to go to the middle set of stairs. The bottom step is very wet. Take extra care if you come down the middle. Polite reminder about your rubbish, folks. Don't forget that. And finally, thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed the display.